Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today we're going to be doing a Master Duel Spellbook deck profile. So I'm really excited to see you guys because this deck is an extremely fun deck to play with that even has a structure deck in Master Duel, making it super easy to build. This deck has some really spicy tech cards in it for you guys, so without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. This card is a great 3-of in the deck that is one of the best normal summons we have in the entire deck, because this card is the Stratos of the deck. Then when this card is normal summon or flip face up, you get to add a Spellbook spell card from your deck to your hand, which is an absolutely amazing effect. We then play 3 copies of Dogmatica Ecclesia. Dogmatica Ecclesia is a really good 3 on the deck as well that just helps you get to your Dogmatica cards and has a really awesome effect that it cannot be destroyed battle with a monster special from the extract, and you can only use the following effects for once per turn. That if a monster special from the extract is on the field, then you can special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can activate this effect to add a Dogmatica card from your deck to your hand. You can send another copy of this card, but it does lock you out of the extract for the rest of the turn, which is the only downside to this card. We then play 2 copies of Dogmatica Maximus. This card is an awesome combo piece for the deck because of all the amazing cards we have in the extra deck that really want to be sent to the graveyard, like our copies of Apokelon, Elder Entity Nist, and even Totally Awesome, which is absolutely amazing. But this card is a really awesome effect as you can manage a Fusion, Synchro, Exy, or Link monster from your graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. And during your main phase, you can activate this effect to send 2 monsters with different names from your extra deck to the graveyard, and also your opponent sends 2 monsters from their extra deck to the graveyard, and also you cannot special monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. But that's not that big of a deal because you're getting rid of 2 cards out of your opponent's extra deck and essentially getting a pop, a search, or even a add back a water monster, which is really good. I then play a single copy of Fleur-de-Lis. Fleur-de-Lis is a really good 1-of in the deck. We only need a single copy of this card, but it's a really good boss monster that gets absolutely massive in the deck. And then play a single copy of Jowgen. Jowgen is a really good 1-of in the deck that you can special summon off your copy of Spellbook of Judgment. It has a really awesome not once per turn effect that you can discard a random card from your hand to the graveyard and then destroy all special summon monsters on the field, and neither player can special summon monsters. This card is a really awesome card. The only downside to it is you can't special summon monsters while it's on the field, but it is a super good 1-of in this deck. We then play 3 really spicy tech cards that I'm going to lay face down, and we're going to play Guess That Card. This card is a really awesome monster for the deck that helps out the deck a lot and is just a really awesome combo piece for this deck. So I'm going to reveal it in 3, 2, 1, and definitely comment down below what you think this card is, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely hit that bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad. And that spicy tech card is 3 copies of Silent Magician. This card is really good in the deck, and it can get absolutely massive on the field, and it can actually even help you get a monster into the graveyard because it has the ability that it cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned from your hand by attributing a spellcaster type monster and cannot be special summoned by other ways. And this card gains 500 attack for each card in your hand, and then once per turn during either player's turn when a spell card is activated, you can negate the activation, which is a really good effect just to be a walking negate. And if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect in its owner's control by an opponent's card effect, then you can special summon a Silent Magician monster from your hand or deck, except another copy of this card, ignoring its summoning conditions. Now this card is really good because if you open up this card and your copy of Spellbook Magician and a copy of Maximus, you can actually get all 3 of them on the field. By just normal summoning your copy of the Spellbook of Magician, you're going to be able to get a search, and then you'll link into a copy of Artemis, tributing it to summon out your copy of Silent Magician. You'll have a Link monster in the graveyard, so you can summon out your copy of your Dogmatica Maximus, which is why I play 3 copies of Silent Magician. This card can get massive on the field, and it also replaces itself if it gets destroyed by an opponent, which is really awesome. We then play a single copy of Silent Magician level 8. This is an insanely powerful boss monster, and it's super good because this card is unaffected by your opponent's spell effects. It is a 3,500 attack point boss monster. It's just really easy to get on the field because if your opponent does out the copy of Silent Magician, you can just make this card. I then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom because it's one of the best hand traps in the entire game just to stop your opponent from touching the deck. And then we're playing 3 copies of Max C. Max C is absolutely insane in Master Duel, and this card is just really good because every time your opponent special summons a monster, you get to draw a card the turn that you discard this card, which is absolutely crazy. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Spellbook of Judgment. Spellbook of Judgment is absolutely it's like, this card is incredible. It's just super fun to be able to put this card on the field because it has the ability that during the end phase of the turn this card was activated, you get to add Spellbook spell cards from your deck to your hand except Spellbook of Judgment up to the number of spell cards activated this turn after this card resolves. And then it has the ability that you can special summon from your deck one spellcaster monster whose level is less than or equal to the number of cards added to your hand by this effect. So if you activate 3 spell cards after this card resolves, you can special summon out your copy of Jowgen, which will lock down your opponent from special summoning, which is really, really good. But this card can also get a bunch of cards into the hand to boost up your copy of Silent Magician when it's on the field, which is really nice. And then play a single copy of Spellbook of Life. This card is basically a searchable monster reborn, which is why I play it as 1-of. It has the ability to banish a spellcaster type monster from your graveyard and then reveal a Spellbook spell card in your hand to target one spellcaster type monster in the graveyard and special summon the target in face of attack position and equip it with this card. And the equipped monster's level is increased by the level of the monster that was banished for this card's activation, which is a pretty good effect to be able to level modulate your cards. Then play a single copy of Spellbook of Eternity. Spellbook of Eternity is really good as a 1-of, but you don't need it any more than a single copy of this card. It lets you target one of your banished Spellbook spell cards, accept a copy of this card, and add it back to your hand, which is a pretty good effect. I then play 2 copies of Spellbook of Power. I really like Power as a 2-of in the deck. You can play just 1 copy of this card, but I love it as a 2-of. It boosts up a spellcaster monster by 1,000, and every single time that spellcaster monster destroys a monster by battle this turn, this card lets you search another Spellbook spell card from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect. I then play 2 copies of Spellbook of the Master. Spellbook of the Master is a really interesting card because it has the ability, if you control a spellcaster type monster, you can reveal one other Spellbook spell card in your hand and target a Spellbook normal spell card in your graveyard and copy the effect to make this card's effect the one that you just targeted in the graveyard, which is really insane, especially if you target something like Spellbook of Power to boost up your monster by 2,000 attack and get a double search when it destroys a monster by battle. That is absolutely crazy. We then play 2 copies of Spellbook of Fate. Spellbook of Fate is a really good 2-of in the deck. You can play 3, but I just like 2 copies in my build. As the ability, if you control a spellcaster type monster, you can banish up to 3 Spellbook spell cards from your graveyard and apply the effect depending on the number of cards that you banish. If you banish just 1 Spellbook spell card, you return a set spell or trap on the field back to the hand. If you banish 2, you get to change 1 monster on the field to face down defense position or face up attack position. And if you banish 3, which is the effect we're usually going to use, you can banish 1 card from your opponent controls, which is really a good effect to be able to just get rid of any card that they control and it doesn't target. And then play 3 copies of Spellbook of Secret. Spellbook of Secret is a really good 3-of because it is the searcher of the deck, just like your copy of Spellbook Magician, because you get to add any Spellbook card from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, and you can only activate 1 of this per turn, which is totally fine because we're just going to normal summon our copy of Magician, search this, and then search an additional Spellbook, like your copy of Judgment, which is really awesome. We then play 3 copies of Spellbook of Knowledge. Spellbook of Knowledge is a really good 3-of that lets us draw 2 cards. It has a really easy effect that you send to the graveyard either 1 spellcaster type monster you control or 1 other Spellbook card from your hand or face on field to the graveyard, and then you get to draw 2 cards, which is a great effect. And then play a single copy of Nadir because this card is currently at 1 in Master Duel. I would play more of this if I could, but you have just a single copy on the list right now. It has the ability to send 1 monster from your extra deck to the graveyard to add a Dogmatica monster or a Fallen Wallbats from your deck or graveyard to your hand for the less than attack than the monster that you sent to the graveyard, which is a good effect on this card to let you search out your copy of Ecclesia, your copy of Maximus, and it's just a fantastic card overall in the deck. I then play 2 copies of Called by the Grave just to stop the opponent from hand trapping us while we're going in for all of our plays. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Shadow Schism. Shadow Schism is a really awesome card that we can search off our copy of a Pokelone. And this card is just really good because it's basically a Miracle Fusion for Shadow monsters, which is really, really insane. It's really easy to resolve because with cards like Maximus, sending your monsters from the extract to the graveyard, you're going to put the materials that you need to Fusion Summon in the grave. And with a Pokelone touching the grave, you can actually search this card, which is really awesome. We then play a single copy of Dogmatic Punishment. This card is a really awesome card to help you get a pop on the field and also send a monster from the extra deck to the graveyard, which is really good. If you send something like Elder Entity Nist, you can use this card as a double pop, but it does lock you out of the extra deck for the rest of the turn and the following turn, which is the only downside to this card. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Crowley. Crowley is a really good one-of in the deck. It is included in the structure deck, which is really nice. But it has the ability, if this card is Link Summon, you're going to reveal 3 Spellbook spell cards with different names from your deck. Your opponent randomly picks one of them and adds it to your hand. Shuffle the rest back in the deck, which is a really awesome effect. And then a single copy of Access Code Talker. Access Code Talker is a really good one-of that gets you multiple pops on the field and can get absolutely massive in this deck. Play a single copy of Selene. Selene is really good to help you step into your copy of Access Code Talker. When the amount of spells we're going to put in the graveyard, this card is going to easily revive a spellcaster from the grave. Play a single copy of Nightmare Phoenix because popping spells and traps is really nice in this deck and it's just a really good one-of overall. One copy of Artemis. Artemis is fantastic in the deck. When you normal summon out your copy of Spellbook Magician, you can link it away for this card, which is really good to get you a monster from the extra deck on the field just off of a normal summon. We then play a single copy of a Pokelone. You're going to send this card to the graveyard with any of your Dogmatica cards and use its ability that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to add a shadow card from your deck or graveyard to your hand and then discard a card, which is the main effect that we're going to be using on this card so that we can get to our copy of Schism and then Fusion Summon, which is really awesome. We then play 2 copies of Shadow Window. Shadow Window is a really good 2-of in the deck because you can send this card to the graveyard to get a dark monster in the grave, and plus you can make it twice in this deck, which is really good. It's really an insanely powerful card that you can put on the field with Shadow Schism, and it must be Fusion Summoned and cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects, and each player can only special summon once per turn, which is a really insane effect. And then play a single copy of El Shadow Construct. We can make this card. You don't make it all that often, but it's a really good boss monster to put on the field because it's absolutely massive and deals with any monster that's special summoned, which is really, really insane. And then play a single copy of Titaniclad. Titaniclad is something we're sending to the graveyard with Nadir to get us an additional search of a Dogmatica card during the end phase, which is a really awesome effect. I played 2 copies of Elder Entity Nist. This is for our copies of Punishment or Nadir to be able to get us an additional pop, which is really cool. 1 copy of Wind Pegasus. Wind Pegasus is a good one-of in the deck because it has the ability you can banish this card from the graveyard and then target a card on the field that your opponent controls and shuffle it into the deck, which is an awesome effect to give you a spin because sometimes with your copy of Elder Entity Nist, you don't want to pop something, you want to spin it. I then play a single copy of Omega. Omega is a good one-of in the deck because it has the ability, if this card's in the graveyard, you can target one other card in the graveyard and shuffle both this card and that card back in the deck, which can recycle your copy of Judgment, which is really nice, but you're basically just using these cards from Titaniclad all the way over for your copy of your Dogmatica Punishment, your copy of Maximus, or your copy of your Nadir. I then play a single copy of Totally Awesome. Totally Awesome is really nice because you can recover your copy of Spellbook Magician because it is a water monster when this card is sent to the graveyard, which is really, really nice. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun. If you never played with Spellbook, you definitely should, especially since there's a structure deck for them on Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. This deck is really consistent. It's really fun to be able to play with, and it's absolutely insane. And I love that we have Spellbook of Judgment back at 1. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.